Welcome to the Fan Perspective. I am your host, Nathan Lyle. Fantasy Football Week 11 was very exciting for me, mostly because I was giving a butter schedule. Basically, in all of my leagues, I was facing teams that were in the bottom two, and I easily dominated, thankfully. And for only the second time this season, I won every single game in every single league, and I am still in the playoff hunt, though for one team I will have to run the table in order to have any chance of winning, of getting into the postseason. Another team, if I can afford to lose one game and still make the postseason. It'll be easier to make the postseason if I run the table, especially since two of the teams left on my schedule are in the postseason, and if they start losing some games, it makes it easier for me to get in. And in another one, all I have to do is win. If I win out, I'm guaranteed to get in. If I win two out of the next 4 games, there's still a strong possibility I'll be in if certain other teams lose. So yeah, things are going okay for me, and I have decided that I will continue to do fantasy football on Sunday mornings at least for the next couple of weeks. I don't know if I'll see it through to the end of the season, but at least next week for sure I will continue to doing it. I'm doing this on a week-by-week basis though. But let's look back on performances from Week 11. And Jeremy Maclin was considered a must-start at the beginning of the year, and experts were calling him a must-start against Washington. People were saying that Nick Foles would be tearing up a porous Washington defense, and Maclin would be his favorite target. I decided not to start him. I kept him on my bench despite the fact that he was predicted to get more points than any wide receiver on my rosters. He was only targeted 3 times and did not get a single reception. I would also like to mention that I had Torrey Smith in 2 of my teams. I dropped him on both of them, and as soon as I did, 2 other guys picked him up. I was right. He had 1 catch for 7 yards last week. Now, don't get me wrong, Torrey Smith is a very talented player. He's had 3 huge games, but outside of those 3 games, he's really done nothing. He's getting like 2 catches a game, and it just so happens one of those catches is usually for about 50 yards. That's about the only real value that he brings to the table. And for me, I'm looking more for consistency, a guy that you can really keep in your lineup every week so you don't have to worry about, is this a good matchup? Can I throw him in? And also, I think something we definitely learned this year, anytime that your team is going up against Oakland or Kansas City, whether it's your offense or your defense, you should probably put those players in the starting lineup. And honestly, the same goes for Jackonvilles' defense. If your team is going up against Jacksonville, if you have offensive players facing off against that defense, throw them in your lineup. Don't ask questions, just throw them in there. Though, last week the Texans' defense definitely shocked a few people with how many points they allowed, how many yards they gave up. And we'll have to see if the Jags' offensive performance was just a glitch. We'll watch their performance next week just to make sure. I'm not completely sold yet. It was just 1 game. And looking at injuries, Willis Mcgahee will miss the rest of the season with a torn ligament in his knees. Meriweather, who just returned to action this week, will miss the rest of the year with a torn ACL. Gronkowski, who has been the leading tight end all season long, is expected to miss the rest of the season with a broken forearm. If he wasn't an undroppable player, I would tell you to drop his ass now, because there's very little chance he'll play again before the NFL playoffs in January. He already had surgery to repair it, and it looks like it's doing well so far, but still, the timetable is a very long one. And also, Lesean McCoy, who I have on the same team that I got Gronkowski with, left the game with what appeared to be a concussion. I'm still looking for more news on the matter. I'm uncertain at this point. Some reports indicate that it wasn't a concussion. However, there are also Andy Reid said it wasn't a concussion. However, there are reports saying that he has not passed the concussion test. His status at this point in time, I'll say it's about up in the air right now. And even if he was to play, just because of the Eagles' offense is in so much turmoil right now, he doesn't really feel like that safe a play unless you're like me, unless you just don't have much depth at that position right now. And I just had to say, I mean, I never thought I'd see the day that the Texans' defense got demolished like that. Aaron Rodgers is one thing, but Chad Henne... In related news, Chad Henne has been named the starter for next week's game. And I just want to say kudos to all those who did the smart thing and started Marcel Reece. He did not have a single carry going into this week, but he finishes with 103 rushing yards and 90 receiving yards. So if you were smart enough to pick him up and throw him in your lineup, good for you. You are a smart person. And also, something that I did, I put stephens-howling in my starting lineup. Now, he's been inconsistent all year, but I was so desperate. I'd had barely anybody on my roster, and I felt like he was worth the risk because he has had those big games. And he did. He had 127 yards and a touchdown. A very good output, helped push me to a win. However, his workload could be seeing a decrease, with Beanie Wells expected to not only return to action this week, but they're expecting him to be in the starting lineup. So we'll see how many carries the Rod actually gets. And for Week 12, there are no bye weeks, though keep in mind that Ed Reed, he was suspended by the league and he was gonna miss the game against San Diego. However, this morning he did appeal the suspension and will be playing. Titus Young, he was held out at the end of the Detroit game for behavioral issues, and he will be inactive for Thursday's game when the Lions play on Thanksgiving. So yeah, keep that in mind. Tune in on Sunday for Fantasy Football Week 12. And as always, I hope you have a happy Tuesday. Good luck to you in heading into this final stretch. I know playoffs are just around the corner. And some of you don't have seating locked up yet. I know I don't. So yeah, good luck to you. I hope I'm being more helpful than hurtful. See you Sunday.